afternoon. Welcome back, everyone, here at Global ESCMID, ESCMID Global TV. My name is Judith Cohen, and it's time for our next interview, and I have two very distinguished guests with me today. I have Professor Alexander Friedrich, who is a physician, medical microbiologist, and hygienist in Munich, Germany, but most probably best known by all of you for serving as the ESCMID treasurer and financial support officer for the past 8 years almost. And he's accompanied by Maurizio Sanguinetti, professor of microbiology at the Catholic University of the Sacred Heart in Rome, Italy, and mostly known for his role also in the Executive Committee of ESCMID, now serving as the immediate past president for 2 more days, I believe, Maurizio.
Yes.
It's almost time to hand over for both of you after 8 years of loyal service towards the ESCMID. So I'm very thankful that both of you have found the time in your busy schedules to join me here in the ESCMID Global TV studio, so we can just take a little look back and a look forward, look back on the past 8 years and have a little peek into what the future may bring. Alexander, if I can start with you, would you care to look back with me over the last 8 years, and then we'll look into your role or the ESCMID as an organization a little later on, but now I'm wondering, how have you seen clinical microbiology and infectious diseases as a field develop over the past 8 years? Could you care to reflect on that a little bit?
Yes, but first, a special moment to be here together with Maurizio, because we did this whole journey together. We started together, and we are ending together different roles, but here we come to the point. It is a team effort, and within this team effort over the years, different changes on a local, on a global scale came into the questions of infectious disease and clinical microbiology. So when I was starting here, there was especially still the question, can we move clinical microbiology towards being more clinical than microbiology? Not only diagnostic, but also giving answers to questions. So that was the major, and I think this major question has been really answered well. So if I look today and I go around in the different sessions, clinical microbiology is really worth the name. The colleagues are trying to use scientific methods to give answers to clinical questions on a hospital basis, on a regional basis, on a public health basis, but clinical answers. And of course, there's always basic research, but here, and that's the special thing, this combination of clinical microbiology and ID, the relevance must be somehow for the patient, for the citizen. So this is one major thing. And the second, where I was directly involved, was the further development of infection prevention and control by bringing in, together with Evelina Tacconelli, with Nico Mutters and many others, a network of people that want to emphasize infection prevention and control in clinical microbiology. So the preventive part of doing diagnostics in order to avoid infections, and setting up the whole UKIC training that now we had the second cohort, and that is ending now, and we'll start the third one. So new people coming in, young people. So I'm very happy looking back, seeing that my role is over in my responsibility, but I see so many young faces, so many young colleagues that stepped in, that are stepping in, and it's developing further. So I'm really happy when I look back.
I can imagine it's really satisfying to see changes truly come to life. Well, thank you for that. Maurizio, can I ask you, looking at clinical microbiology, looking back, are there things that are most striking changes that you've acknowledged, and what do you feel are the most important issues right now within microbiology?
Of course,
maybe that has shifted.
Yes. Of course, I totally agree with Alex for the important role of microbiology in clinics. And this is something not completely well defined in some countries. So I think that this could be the most important issue that I have in my mind now for clinical microbiology. So the idea, the importance of the clinical microbiologists in the hospitals, of course in the community, of course also at global level, to try to provide good responses, good answers to the clinical questions. And now in some countries, for instance Italy, this is not completely done. So sometimes the clinical microbiologist is seen as a laboratorist, so a person who works in the laboratory and stop. So probably this person could be also substituted by machines, so it's not so useful to have a brain who analyze the data. And this is the major issue, in my opinion, in some countries, not in all the countries, of course. So the importance to define very well the role of clinical microbiologists as a person who can answer to some important clinical questions such as AMR, but also emerging infections, the emerged infection, not only emerging. So also the infections are still present that have been not very well evaluated. So I think that the society is absolutely important for this. The ESCMID is a point of reference in this country to try to define better the role of a microbiologist.
Yeah. Better care, yeah. Alexander, you have been serving ESCMID Executive Committee in one role for the past 8 years. That is the role of Treasurer and Financial Support Officer. In contrast to you, Maurizio, because you switched a little bit of your roles. So you've really managed, Alexander, to follow ESCMID and the growth, I think, that it has made over the past 8 years. Do you care to mention a little bit about the progression ESCMID has made as an organization?
Yes, I chose actively for this role.
Okay.
I was asked to do other roles, but said, no, I like to continue. And there's an advantage because the treasurer, together with the president and the secretary general, they are the three legal representatives of the society. Such a society has a scientific aspect and an educational aspect, but is also an organization, and it needs to be in relationship with authorities, with tax issues, with we have members, there's money flow, with companies and sponsorship. So there are many questions, and it's not a small business to look at that. And
did you have affinity with that before you entered the executive committee?
Now, let's say
because it's quite a tough job, I can imagine, seeing what your day job is.
I was at that moment, at the beginning, together with Maurizio, we were the only one that had in the board that had a position in our universities with final responsibility.
Okay. Yeah.
That means that we both had from the beginning on financial responsibility, so it was clear that, okay, if you're used for your work, then it's not so unusual for here. So that it was normal for me to do, but what was impressive to see that with all these advances in science and new initiatives and the new program and program director and new people coming in, then there also, it was a financial success story to tell about, which can be used then to reinvest in our members, in the core activities, science, education, quality networks, and all this. And this is an important message from the treasurer. Money follows usually the excellent ideas, and not vice versa. If somebody gives you money, that is not a guarantee that then the good idea will come. And here it is really like that. The excellent ideas go, and of course you need always some money to start, but if there are excellent ideas, then money flow come because people will be attracted by these ideas, companies will be attracted, innovations will come out, and there are courses, and so that's the important message here, and ESCMID is doing well in that. it is a hub, a worldwide hub. And that was also the reason why we said we have to change the name of the Congress, because it's more than Europe. The center is, of course, Europe, but it's globally growing. And that was, at the end, an important success. And as a treasurer, there's another advantage. You have this clear task, and then you have more freedom than maybe the others to get involved with all the different things you like to see. So I got involved in the UK, I got involved in many other projects that came out, because I was more in a liberal position, and a little bit I had a look at how it's going with the office. Of course, there are contracts to be done in the office. Somebody needs to deal with that. Of course, we have Simon as a director of our office, but still there's always need in contact with somebody from the EC. So that was also, so to look a little bit what is happening with the people, is everything right there, the changes that has been done. And I love the work with people, and that was also possible with what ESCMID gave me in these 8 years.
Wow. Yeah, well, I've had the great pleasure of interviewing many of the Executive Committee now for the 4th year in a row. And what strikes me when looking back with both you gentlemen on your past 8 years is how you speak of the team spirit, that really, that you all do it as a team. I mean, even your remarks on the financial successes, you quite modestly bring it as a team effort with the right strategy, and it really feels like I had the same discussion with Robert Scoff and Annelies Zinkernagel, who are now handing over the presidency, that they really feel that the team effort and the continuity of the system, how you, well, progress from, well, how you stay within the team for 8 years long, really maybe one of the key factors driving the success and the growth. So it's really, really nice to see you, well, bringing that back here again as well. Maurizio, for you, what were your personal, because you shifted some roles. You started out as the professional affairs officer, and then you moved on to president-elect, president, and immediate past president. Do you have a favorite role? Were there highlights?
Not exactly. So my idea from the beginning was to serve the society, so to try to provide my best for providing some more power to the society. So this was my idea from the beginning. Of course, I have to underline the words said by Alex, because it's really a team effort. So this is fantastic. This is one of my best memory. Of course, Alex is a great friend for me, a really great friend. But all the person in the EC were friends for me. So this was an incredible experience for me. Probably this was the most important experience in my life, probably. Yeah. Because it was really, really the possibility to have a contact with a different experience, different person, different approach to the problems, and this was incredibly important for me, for sure. Of course, I have some memories, probably positive, sometimes not so positive, but related to the pandemic, because of course I was president during the pandemic from 2020 to 2022, and I have in my mind all the images of all the faces of my friends on the window of the computer in the very several meetings we had in remote, and to try to keep to have a very important decision, because you remember, of course, very well, we decided to stop the Congress in 2020. It was a very strong decision to have the Congress 2021. So we take some very important decisions. So this is my first memory, which is positive, of course, even if in a very complex situation. The other memory I have is, for sure, the opening ceremony in Lisbon, because this was really, really a strong strike for me, because speaking in front of probably 10,000 persons is very, very emotional. So, and also for me, in this moment, I represented the society after the pandemic, the society who survived the pandemic, and this was not so obvious at the beginning of the story, because of course Alex is very modest, but Alex did a fantastic job at Chessware to try to keep all in line during the pandemic. So this was
not
done,
an easy task, as we know,
of course, from the team, but in particular by Alex, and this was very, very important. In my mind, I have still now the persons in Lisbon, and this was a great memory. Of course, I have a lot of memories of these 8 years, all the congresses, all the persons I contacted, so very, very good. But these are the two images I have in my mind.
Yeah, I can imagine. Alexander, what are your wishes for ESCMID for the near future, or maybe even for the far future?
So first of all, I absolutely wish ESCMID and ESCMID Global to continue on that path, to find the excellence, not by exclusion, but by inclusion of the different fields, the different professions, the different countries. That's important, because often in the ambition of becoming excellent, you're excluding others and saying, oh, there's a pyramid and there's one best. So this is different here, and you see it in how the governance of the executive committee is, and you feel it in the whole society. So going on that path, there are big challenges ahead, global challenges, from climate to crisis, migration, war. All has influence on microbiology, infectious disease. And we need to give answers to questions. And the answers cannot be given by one person. They need to be given in a crowd method and a crowd approach. That ESCMID is the carrier of this crowd approach. And next to this big global meeting, there needs to be continue all the different aspects of training, of research, of projects that stimulate the younger and the older, but bring young people into it and say, okay, this is what I want to do in my life. And then when they step in, and then there will be 20, 30 years ahead. And this is what also ESCMID does. I remember my first ECMID, it was in Prague, 2003. I was a young clinical microbiologist, and ESCMID gave me so many things to learn, and so many contacts, and inspired me. And this is the energy that I wish that ESCMID goes ahead. It is the fire that is given from hand to hand.
Yeah.
And I think ESCMID is doing it, and I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so we handed over the fire and the flame that we had to others.
Wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. I think so too, because I see all the young people coming in here also. I just see a fraction of the ESCMID community that you speak of, but they're very young and enthusiastic, and there's definitely fire visible in most of them. Yeah. Maurizio, do you have specific wishes for ESCMID for the future?
It's difficult to speak
difficult.
about my friend Alex, because he underlined all my thoughts, but I have to underline a specific word by Alex: inclusion. Now the world seems to be based on exclusion, on the contrast, on the conflicts. So the idea of inclusion has to be underlined very well. This is, of course, in our community, but in general. I think this could be a very important message done by Alex and also by me. So the idea of inclusion, we have a lot of religions, a lot of countries, a lot of races, if we can speak about race in humans, but all here, all working on clinical microbiology infectious disease, only with an idea, without any conflicts, with also conflicts from the scientific point of view, but this is normal, of course, in our field. But it's very important, the inclusion. And I think that this can be the word that I have in my mind now, ESCMID as an inclusion driver.
Yeah. Well, I think the ESCMID as an organization will thank you profusely and properly and officially Monday evening, right, when the real handover is. Thank you so much for taking the time and effort coming here and letting our viewers know a little bit about your thoughts over the past 8 years. And thank you for serving ESCMID from me and the viewers for now. Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching this interview. We will be back at 4 o'clock sharp, and then we will be interviewing Sanjay Patel, who will be speaking to us a little bit more about pediatric infectious disease. This is a very important topic as well. So hope to see you all at 4.